Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast, and it is your Monday night fans forum with the lads. I've got Max and Martin with me. We're gonna reminisce on yesterday's result, I think, because you boys, Martin, I know you tried to get on the pod, but your internet wasn't great last night. And Max, I haven't had your opinions of yesterday's performance. But then we'll also talk. I wanted to reflect on Emery and his year in charge. There's been lots of stats going around about how well he's done at Villa. So I wanted to reflect on that, and also kind of the fortress that is now Villa Park. And then we'll get into all your comments, all your questions. It's your show, guys. So get involved in the chat. Maybe we'll talk some Aston Villa women as well. Is Carla Ward under serious pressure? And yeah, anything else? Transfers. There's a few rumours going around, so we might talk a bit of transfers. It seems to have died down a bit off the pitch. The debate around the off pitch issues seems to have been died down. So yes, but lads, how are you boys doing? We've got loads of comments in there already, so I'll get into the comments in a second. But yeah, Max, Martin, how are you boys doing?
Not too bad. Can't complain after a good weekend result.
Exactly. I mean, I saw some of your pictures from Holt End Upper. I believe you are, Max. How was the atmosphere in the Holt End Upper yesterday afternoon?
I mean, it actually wasn't that great. Weirdly enough, it was actually for the most part it was relatively flat. But I mean, when the goals go in, it's always good. But it was, especially when they got their goal, it went a bit nervy for sure.
Yeah, I think we'll talk that as well, because it's one of those where I think Villa fans now we win that we've won 11 games, 11 Premier League games in a row now at home. This pessimism from Villa fans, it kind of has to stop now, because we've won from going behind against like Crystal Palace, and I don't know if we've done it to any other teams. We've been pegged back in games where we've then gone on to win. We've beaten the likes of Tottenham. We've smashed Newcastle. And then I know we'll get onto these 11 in a row, but yeah, I think this kind of pessimism needs to stop. But we'll get onto that in a bit. Martin, how are you doing, mate? How is the internet today?
Live and well. I'm out of George's dungeon. I have lights. I've got the whole shebang. I paid me bill. We're all good to go.
Good man. And ghosting in at the far post, Kev, after was it a successful football match tonight?
I was on fire tonight, mate. Yeah, best I've been in ages. I think Villa's inspired me. Yeah, I couldn't stop. Normally I'd smash them all over the bar, but I had a good one this week. So been watching a bit of Ollie Watkins, a bit of Douglas Luiz, trying to take my time in front of goal, so I can't complain. I'll tell you what's even better than that, Rich. According to my Apple Watch, I've done 239 minutes of exercise today. So
I know, I heard you were in the gym at work. You were power walking.
Listen, got to do it, haven't you? Got to do it.
Good man. Well, we've already got loads in the chat already. We've got almost 30 people watching, which is really good numbers at the start of the show. So, guys, I'm going to say it. Hit the like button. I think Dale's told you already. Get the likes in early. Hit the subscribe button. We are motoring up to 2,600 subscribers on the road to 3K. You guys can help us get there. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you do want to become a member, it's just $1.99 a month to join. Hit the $ at the bottom or hit the join button and follow the instructions. As did Rich Edwards, who for some reason he'd mentioned he's become a member today. So amazing stuff, Rich. Thank you very much for doing that.
Welcome, Rich. Welcome.
But said that the subscription had gone off his name. So if anyone is watching and they don't think that they think they're subscribed, just double check, because sometimes YouTube plays funny games. But yeah, great stuff, Rich. Thank you for your support. Rachel in the house. Hello, Rachel. Dale is on time. Looking forward to this one. Good man. Radio Gomez says, why can't I stop watching Villa podcasts for the last 2 days? Mate, it's when you're basking in this glory, you just want more and more of it. I know the feeling. Rob says, hello. How you doing, mate? Great to have you on board. And he's been watching the West Ham ones as well. It's always good to see some West Ham fans in the mud, shall we say? That's what all the kids say these days, isn't it? In the mud. Dale get the likes done early. Good man. And Rich has done his like as well. Dale said that most of the West Ham pods want Moyes gone and Antonio sold.
Truth.
I've seen that. I've actually seen a lot of that, in fairness myself.
Yeah, interesting. I've seen a few saying they want Antonio out and they want another striker. Bitter bunch, same team every week. Moyes outdone tactically. What else have we got here? Yeah, pretty silly takes from West Ham fans, says Rachel. Rich said the filthy move from Bailey was fire. I keep watching that goal, lads. I keep watching it. It's so good.
That's the best. That's the goal.
The
I
skill.
know Ollie Watkins got a rocket, but that's just
the way he takes the ball off of Tielemans, just in his stride, and then just drops the shoulder there and just cuts back.
Yeah,
and then to put it in the top corner as well, like it's just. Honestly,
great step over.
Amazing.
Yeah. He sent Aguad there to Greg's for 2 sausage rolls, so we did.
Aguad went off to go and get a couple of baguettes, didn't he?
yeah, he did. He absolutely did. What have we? Who else have we got? Rich, 2 points off top. I think Spurs have won, haven't they, today? So it might be 4.
Yeah. That don't count. They ain't gonna last. They've played 9-man Liverpool. Man United, God, I'd beat them on my own. So, they're having a great time. But wait till they play a decent team.
Yeah. Michael said we won. I don't know if it's us or West Ham that are 1 game away from a meltdown, but probably both. Steve 24/7 says, "Hey people, after this, watch football's 12-man podcast. It's so funny. Lawless, the West Ham fan, gets cooked." Well, actually, I've not been on the 12-man podcast. I've been on the podcast with the Newcastle fan who's on there. Dave, and Lawless was on a Battleground Europe show last season. I remember Rich was watching it with me, and Lawless and the Tottenham fan were like, "What is an Aston Villa fan doing on this Europe show?" And I was like, "Just wait till the end of the season. Just wait till the end of the season." At that point, we were like 11th. To be fair, and then we just kept winning and winning and winning. I kept reeling them in, and in the end, we pipped Spurs. It got to the point where the Spurs fan had to say, "Well, we don't want the Conference League. We don't want Europe anyway." I mean, to be fair to him, it's probably working out all right for them. But yeah, West Ham, it was good. It was good anyway. Giving the West Ham fans some roasting. Ethan in the house. Good evening, mate. What else have we got? Yeah, Super Villain says agreed. Recommend the 12-man podcast. Gobshite West Ham got cooked at the start and roasted at the end. Very complimentary about Villa, says CC. Excellent stuff. The host Dan is an Arsenal fan, but he does give a Villa fan. He does give Villa quite a lot of respect. There aren't many players from West Ham I would take. No, I don't. Just Bowen, I think. Guys, what about you? Would you take anyone else? I wasn't really that impressed with Paqueta. I mean, everyone raves about him, but I wasn't really that impressed with him.
I take what price. I take Bowen. I'd probably take Aguerd. I think Aguerd's good as well.
I mean, I thought Paqueta was good yesterday, and then I watched Match of the Day in Sky, and no one thought he was very good. So obviously, I've got no.
I thought last night he was all fart and no shit. He was Paqueta.
I totally agree. I'd 100% take Kudus. Kudus is an absolute baller. I wish we'd got him, but he didn't do much yesterday. Not miscontrol Pau Torres' pass into McGinn's path. But Mohamed Kudus is a real player. He's a quality player.
Kudus is good. Yeah. He looks very quick. But I'd rather have Leon Bailey. Just putting it out there. Mark's in the house. Good evening, Mark. Rachel said she would take Kudus and Bowen. Gaz says, "Hi lads, Sam's not here, but I never had an issue with saying Ollie was streaky. I just disagree. I had issues who said he wasn't contributing, but enjoyed watching and can't wait to hear Sam's vocal talent." Nice. Well, look, Gaz, I am sure you will be having that countdown of the goals that he scores. You'll have it on a little chart. Just keep posting, mate, and we'll get Sam singing towards the end of the season.
I only hope he gets 20 Premier League goals and then he can come on here and apologise to everybody.
There we are. All fart and no shit. New one to me.
Rich, you've missed
trebles for show, doubles for dough.
Rich, you've missed Gary's absolute one-liner there.
We've got a bullseye reference.
I'd take Jimbo in just for the speedboat. Have a look at what you could have won, Gary. Have a look.
Non-dark player's going to go first.
You live in
Birmingham.
You live in Birmingham. Here's a speedboat for you.
Fantastic. Good luck. Canals in Birmingham. You can use them on those.
Yeah. Right, lads. Where do you want to start? Do you want a little bit more reminiscent of yesterday's game, or do we want to just dive straight into kind of where we are with Unai Emery after a year?
Let's talk about that defeat to Wickham. Remember when Jolene Lescott?
When Michael Richards had to confront the fans.
And Lescott tweeted the picture of his Merc. Was it like?
No, that was after that. Yeah.
Was it after that? No, it was after the 6-0.
Yeah.
Or should we not talk about that and talk about something else?
Let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
Let's talk Unai Emery. It's a year in the job. I do want to go through some statistics. And I know, Martin, you've got a few. So I don't know if excuse me if I cover one or two of these that you've got. But Aston Villa have averaged 2.11 points per game in the Premier League this season. If projected over the entire season, that would see Aston Villa finishing the campaign with a whopping 80 points. Whoa. Wouldn't be enough to challenge for top spot these days, but it's comfortably top 4. And it's one more point than Manchester United's treble winners managed in 98-99. Emery's side have scored 63 Premier League goals in just 34 matches. That's an average of 1.85 goals per game. Under Unai Emery, Aston Villa have been the most clinical side in the Premier League this season. They have overperformed their XG, everyone's favourite, by 5 goals, the biggest overperformance from any Premier League side. Villa have won 11 consecutive home matches, with their last defeat at Villa Park coming back in February against Arsenal. There's a few different ones in terms of like other players, but Kev, I'll come to you first. I mean, we're in absolute dreamland here, aren't we?
Yeah, I remember those days when we were desperately thinking we could get Pochettino, and not that Pochettino is not a tremendous manager and didn't do a great job at Spurs, etc. But to think like Unai was almost seen as second prize, I wouldn't swap him for a single manager in the world. I include Guardiola, I include Pep, I include Wayne Rooney. I wouldn't swap him for any of them. Sorry about that little dig. Because I mean, we spoke about this last night, obviously on the reaction pod. But the great thing, just for those that didn't hear it, but I loved about that whole the coverage on Sunday that I caught after the game when I got back from Villa Park was you've got your Dean Smith and your Unai Emery talking, and there's a real love-in for like the Villa, but there's two great custodians of the club in the past, obviously Dean and Unai now. One thing they share is that real affinity for the club and the fans love them just as much back. And I think if you can get the fans on side, because the fans know that you really care, and it's actually not just a job to him. He's not just a jobbing manager. He's really invested in it, and you can tell. And we love him for that. And I still look back now what he did. I mean, has there ever been a worse thing to happen to anyone's football management career than for Steven Gerrard to have Unai Emery follow him? Because 62 points in a calendar year, second only to Man City, joint with Arsenal, who basically nearly won the league. And he got us into Europe only with an addition of a left back, and then the other left back that Gerrard bought, which wasn't very good. He's turned him into a world beater this season. It's just unbelievable. We have all these injuries and we overcome it, and we are playing fantastic football. I've never seen us so attractive on the eye. Defensively solid. The players are clearly loving playing for the club as well, and he's just an absolute magician. And I absolutely love him. And if he ever leaves, I'm going to cry my eyes out if he ever leaves. So I hope he doesn't, because I don't want to do that live on camera.
No. We don't want to see that. Martin, I don't know if I stole your statistic there, but just sum up the year under Unai Emery for us.
Yeah, no, funny enough, you didn't actually take any statistics off me, which was actually very good. But I just have here that at a single Premier League club, so a minimum of 20 games, Unai Emery, it shows to me he's at 2 points per game. And I'm not going to go through everyone's points per game, but there is a list of managers, and it's a very high caliber list here. So he's in company with Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Alex Ferguson, Antonio Conte, Jurgen Klopp, Carlo Ancelotti, Roberto Mancini, Manuel Pellegrini, and last and very least, Avram Grant. So he's in really, they're all in really good company with Emery at the minute. So I have to say the year has been absolutely fantastic. It's been a real joy just to watch Villa. I've said it before and I'll constantly say it again. I look forward now to watching Aston Villa ever since Unai Emery's been put in charge. And it seems like in the game we go through the gears, so we go through that first 15 minutes, getting into our stride, and it just goes through there, and it's a joy to watch, and I've absolutely loved every single minute of it.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate, and really well summed up there, because you come over from Ireland, and you've got your unbeaten record to maintain.
I'm currently on 10, so I'm only one game less than Unai Emery at this minute.
Rich, that means absolutely nothing. Everybody's got an unbeaten record at Villa
Exactly,
Park.
I know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
mine's just a little bit more impressive because I'm coming from across the sea, Kevin, so I take a gamble on my games.
Even if you come from Erdington, you've got an unbeaten record at Villa Park, because we win every bloody home game in the league. Magnificent.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is. You are right, but like I say, I think, was it the Brighton game we met up before the game? I can't remember what game it was.
No, I think it was. Wait, was it
Everton?
Everton. Yeah. Everton was the one. Yes.
Everton. Yeah. I mean, just thinking and I'll come to you, Max, as well, because I do want to go over these 11 games, because I think sometimes people can kind of talk around, who have we played? Maybe it's not an Arsenal or a Man City, but Newcastle, West Ham, Brighton, Tottenham, they're not Man United. They're not like little clubs. They're not like easy games against relegation fodder. And when I said about kind of the atmosphere and getting a little bit kind of edgy, we've got to be taking Villa Park as a fortress now, haven't we, Max?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so different to how it has been. I mean, even in those games we've won against these big teams, we're not playing scrappy football looking for it and just scraping a 1-0 win. We're thrashing teams. It's it feels like since Kev said, I wish we'd thrash some teams, we've scored 10.
Yeah, mate. This is another example of listening to the Villa Park podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. Have it now. Unai literally loves the show. He loves it. He can't stop watching it.
Yeah. He's trying to make you happy, Kevin. You said right.
Yeah, he makes me very happy.
I mean, we're going playing these big teams. I mean, we did the preview for the fans forum last week talking about this West Ham game, and I think we were both happy with a point, really. If it had come to it, I think if it come to the end of the game, we probably would have said the point would have been a decent result, and then we go wipe them off the park for most at least 70 minutes to say we were by far the better team, and they and win 4-1. So I mean, it's just we're in a different time to whenever I've been. I mean, it's nothing compared to coming all the way from Ireland, but I mean, when I was at uni last 2 years, coming back for on an hour train and an hour back under Gerrard, I can't say I came very much, because it was never felt worth it. You come in watching, especially towards the end, crap football, losing games against other teams that you should be winning against, and then all of a sudden Emery comes in and just plays attractive football against big teams. Doesn't matter who it's against, we seem to play great football and seem to pick up results.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'll go for some comments, and I'll come to you in a sec, Kev, just around that Emery evolution of the team. So just hold me to that so I don't forget. But Paul said we will definitely be top 4. And Paul's from Swansea, an exiled Brummie. Great to have you on board, mate. Thank you very much. Dale said, what a time to be a Villa fan. 100%. Absolutely amazing stuff. Mark says, happy Unai-versary to all for tomorrow. I like it. You are definitely copying Gary for your puns, Mark. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Gary said, nice to see Gerald under pressure already, playing for crowds of 800. Gaz says, has there ever been a bigger upgrade to Emery from the other fella? Well, we'll see. I've starred some of the questions as well for a little bit later. Rachel said, Emery is just amazing. We were very lucky to have him. Aurelio says, with stats like that, I'm going to have to become a blue nose to match my inbuilt pessimism.
Whoa.
He's just joking. He's just joking.
Okay, that's not
joking. Yeah. Rachel said, so many feels with Dino and Emery, and great to see Dino at VP. Says Aurelio, and Michael says Emery was very respectful to Smith, and Dale said Emery equals God. Where have we got? Gary said, why hasn't the bubble burst yet? So happy it hasn't, but considering the injuries, etc., it is a miracle. Well, this comes to my kind of evolution with Emery, but I'll just do a couple more comments. More transfer stuff there, so I'll come to that in a second. Aurelio said, all those managers had Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Liverpool. Doing it with Villa is something else, just on your stats there, Martin. But I totally agree. And yeah, Rachel said there, I don't think it is a bubble as it's through coaching and hard work. Michael said the last year under Emery has been a pure education. Even at my age, I've learned so much about how the game should be played. And Dale said, an elite manager, so thankful to the owners for bringing him in. We've come a long way since the fraud was in charge. And Rich says, this ain't no bubble or no new manager bounce. He's been in charge for a year. Exactly. And CC says, I agree. It's no fluke or has a false foundation. This is earned the hard way. And Rich says the players are much more confident on the ball. You can see it in the way they play. 100%, absolutely. Gaz said only Leicester that are outside of the top four have beaten us at Villa Park. And that was a bit of a freak game as well. Yeah. And as Rich said, Emery even said to Louise yesterday, he can get better because he was disappointed with his second half performance where he's giving the ball away. And Super Villain said it's making a massive difference with goals coming from across the team, 100%. And ED is in the house. Evening Villains, up the effing Villa. Great to have you in, mate. So, yeah, just covering some of those bits around the evolution under Emery, because Max and Martin make a good point at the start of this home run, Kev. When we beat Man United, it just looked like a couple of simple changes that he made to the way the team was set up, what he wanted us to do in terms of when we won the ball, and we were kind of quite quick in that transition that a lot of people like to say. But now we have so many different ways of playing that, like, there's times where we keep the ball. There's times when we get after a really fast start and we get 1 or 2-0 up. There's times when we go and try and keep the ball and just lull a team into a full sense of security. Yesterday we got 1 goal up and then we started the second half really quickly and got a goal. Then they came back into it. What we were able to do was like just play quite direct even and just put balls over the top and into the channels. And it's just, there's like 4 or 5 different ways that we can play. I haven't even mentioned the incisive passes through the middle, the wide areas where Matty Cash and Luca Dean are overlapping, like all these different ways of us playing, depending on who's getting the ball or who's got the ball in what position. Like Michael said, it's an absolute education to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. I mean, we said on last night's pod, like I always remember, the only options used to be like get it wide and sling it in the box and see what happens. Really, that was kind of like, and you're doing that sometimes with small strikers against lumbering centre halves. And look at the variations we have on set pieces. There's been a couple they haven't quite come.
None of them have worked yet, shall we say that? None of them have worked yet.
We've got
they're different.
I do wish we'd stick a few more in the box, but you can't have everything you want. But the variation for me is just fantastic. And you're absolutely right. I said last night on the pod, like, I'm loving the way we're playing these really delicate, intricate passes through the middle. I mean, look at that Diaby one to Watkins, where Watkins dragged it wide.
Yeah.
He should have scored, but there was like 5 defenders around, and he slided it. The perfect pace of pass. He took it beautifully. Obviously, the Tielemans pass to Bailey. They're 2 passes you don't even think are on. And obviously, the players now playing with such confidence that they're seeing things. They're able to look around corners effectively. They know when they've got runners. And look at the goal, obviously, McGinn, fantastic swept pass, curving away to Watkins. Watkins causing defenses nightmares and cutting in again like he's done a few times, which obviously we shot some last night. I thought Diaby looked like he was at it again yesterday, which after probably having a slight injury against Wolves and being a bit off it. But look at this season. Cash has chipped in with goals. Dina's had loads of assists. McGinn's even got himself a goal or two, hasn't he? Louise has obviously been on fire. Watkins has not scored for first bit of the season, then has got eight or 9 goals now, including a goal for England, which is brilliant. We've even getting like centre backs popping up. Obviously, Torres got himself a goal, didn't he? And like I just look at this team now and just think that no matter what happens across the pitch, and even with the injuries, I mean, I actually think to ourselves, if you still look at our bench has still got some really good players on it. Duran wasn't there yesterday, so we were lacking the striker. But I was just thinking, you know what? Maybe he'll play. If Watkins gets injured, he'll just put Diaby up there and bring Traore on. I'm not saying Traore is perfect, and I do think, I know that there's comments coming in about who do we need to buy in January and what's the plan, but I'm still confident, unless we get any more significant injuries, considering that hopefully Alex and Jacob will be back soon. I think the squad's fine to compete. Subject to a Martinez injury. So, and Villa are easy on the eye. The other thing I was going to say to my plea being answered to batter someone, and obviously Max, talks about the 4-1 win and the 6-1 win, but they should have been more. They should have been more goals in those games. There should have been bigger defeats. I think Brighton got away with a 6-1. West Ham got away with a 4-1, and that says a lot. It's not like we flukily got ourselves a 4-1 win. It's been absolutely convincing. When you play a team like West Ham as well, they won the European trophy last season, the Conference League. They've got some good players. You expect them to have some of the ball, but we probably had you right. 70 minutes of the game was all Villa. So it's just comprehensive. I'm looking forward to the next test. I'm looking forward to playing Tottenham, the big shots. I'm looking forward to Man City coming under the lights on December the 5th, I think it is. I'm looking forward to these even bigger tests, and I don't think they'll be fancying it either.
They won't want to come here. They won't. And I would love it. I would love it.
If come here on a Tuesday night down the M6. What he said about
it. But Martin, Kev makes a good point with regards to scoring, could be scoring more goals, being the entertainers, and I've made this point a couple of times whereby it's so refreshing as an Aston Villa fan and as a football supporter in general that you see what players are doing on the training pitch come to life on the actual match pitch, and it actually works. Because how many times have we turned around and said, what do they actually do in training? Well, now we know because we can see it.
Absolutely. And generally what you would want to do is even not just into the actual match itself, but the training games. Incorporate what you do into the training games, because then it goes into the match. It's an evolution. It starts from training, small little set pieces, warm-ups, high pressing drills, possession drills, and then you bring that into the training match, because you want to couple what you do into training into that training game to take it into the match day. And that's exactly what's been happening, and that's exactly what we're seeing, because consistency is key. So when we're consistently learning the same thing, maybe not the same thing, but little bits of difference here and there, and we're bringing it into the match day, and it's just entertaining and refreshing. And what I love now is the patience in attack, not the constant rush of the need to score. We're patient, we'll keep the ball moving side to side, and when we find that little mistake in the back line, we'll pounce on it and we'll unlock that defense. And that's really, really worked as of late. In our last 2 games in Villa Park, we've gone and got ourselves 10 goals. And, and of course, Emery obviously himself would be delighted, that what we're doing in the training has gone to these training games, and now it's gone to these match days. And it's absolutely fantastic to see. And fans are now enjoying it. Like you said, what are the players doing in training? Now we're like, I wonder what the players are doing in training if they're doing this good, So
yeah, exactly.
It's been absolutely fantastic to see. So,
yeah, 100%. I've got comments coming straight in, so I will come to them in a second. But Max, just a couple more little statistics for you. Emery has a win percentage of 57.89% since taking over at Villa Park, which is the highest of any Aston Villa manager in the club's history. He also boasts a better win percentage with Aston Villa than he managed with Arsenal, Villarreal and Sevilla. In fact, he's only ever managed a higher win percentage when he was at PSG. I mean, it's a complete match made in heaven at the moment, isn't it? With Emery and Aston Villa, it just seems like, where you get like Postecoglou at Tottenham, it's, Klopp at Liverpool. It just seems like it's the right fit at the right time.
Yeah, well, he went to Arsenal, it didn't work, and then he went to Villarreal and found a system which was good to watch, and it worked for the players he had. And then he looked at because I can't remember who it was, but he rejected somebody else. Was it Newcastle he rejected? I think.
Yeah.
But he looked it's something to do with their squad, and then looked at Villa's, and we fit exactly at the time what the same like tactics he was using for Villarreal, and I think that's what because he came in plays he's 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1 whenever however it looks depending on each game and stuff like that, and it just worked straight away. I think especially going from Gerrard's weird three up front but two strikers and a cam and stuff like that. So I think he just came in at the right time with the right players and has just got it right straight away. And as soon as you start winning games off the bat, if you can keep that going, I mean, look at it now. It's confidence has bred confidence, and now we're on form for. If he'd started last season at this rate, we would have won the league last year. So who knows what's possible?
It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Honestly, it's just it's just dreamland stuff. I can't believe it. Reece said the Olays we heard while we were just passing around West Ham. Usually it's the other team, but now it's us taking the piss. Up the effing Villa, absolutely. Gaz says he has educated the fans. He has 100%. We don't tend to panic anymore. You know, when they're passing it across the back. Dale says I don't think we'll see another game like the Leicester one. The players are all clued up with the way that we want to play. Absolutely.
Can I just on that point as well, Rich? Like the part of the evolution, like you get teachers say this all the time and people in companies, but you've got to be prepared to make mistakes to learn and develop. Kids have got to be prepared to fall off bikes to be able to learn how to ride a bike. It happens in all manner of life. And that was our evolution in the early days of Emery, the first few months. So you're always going to get a situation with a game like that where, sometimes maybe you try some things out. The key thing for Villa, and Villa fans have learnt this, is you've got to be patient. And if you think it's the right thing to do, you've got to try it. Even yesterday, Torres had a few passes that were off Louise, maybe a couple in the second half, but the majority of those passes that they're trying are working. And when you are close to the edges, there's going to be times that you make mistakes. So that game against Leicester was a bit of a freak. And I think also they had a little upturn in form because they obviously stuck 4 past Tottenham the week after. And then in the Premier League, anyone can beat anyone, can't they? We've seen that in the past. So I just think now the confidence that we've got as a team when we are zipping it round and they play a ball into an area and you think, crikey, why have they passed it there? But they know that there's a pass to just first time play to someone else. And it's just great to see, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's still more to come because Torres was giving the ball away a couple of times where he was trying that drilled pass. Louise was giving the ball away a little bit. But like when we're controlling the game so much, it's going to happen. But yeah, there's more to come. There's more quick passing to come, like in terms of like missing players out. We were saying at the Wolves game where we were just playing that extra pass, but I think we can even become more direct, particularly when Moreno comes back, because he's obviously got that extra pace that maybe Luka Dean hasn't got, although Luka Dean has been playing brilliantly, by the way. CC, I loved seeing how Kamara was dropping back right in front of the defence, protecting them while Louise and McGinn pushed forward. I commented on that last night. Really good to see that. Edie said Yuri showed how dangerous he can be in the final third. He needed that, and we needed that from him. Yeah, it's going to be good when he if he plays on Thursday, so he get his confidence up. Watkins did a nice flick around the corner yesterday, says Rich. Yeah, he's real confidence play. His confidence is right up at the moment. Yeah, Rachel, great assist from Tielemans. Aaron, we're going to win the league. Aaron has gone full circle now.
Oh,
look at this. If Aaron is saying we're going to win the league, if Aaron is saying it, then we're going to win the league.
He's gone from pure depressed to like saying we're going to win the league.
He's loving it, mate.
Emery is some magic, man.
Yeah. Dale said, good to see that Tielemans has come out and said the interview was interpreted the wrong way and was total nonsense. He looked happy with the assist.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Was great to see, wasn't it, yesterday? To see his reaction to knowing that he's contributed, albeit the game was pretty much won, but that really sealed the deal. But just to see him not being a part of the team and doing something significant was really, really good to see yesterday.
Yeah. Heredia said West Ham would have leapfrogged us had they won. Lack of ambition. We battered them off the park. Interesting question from Gary. I have starred lots of questions, but he said, do we think the Mings injury was a blessing in disguise, horrible though it was for Pau, as it has brought forward his adaptation to the Prem level? Anyone want to take that one on?
Yeah, I will. I can see where he's come from in terms of it is a blessing in disguise because of how well Pau Torres has been playing. Because if Mings wasn't injured, you might be saying well, Pau Torres could be somewhere else, or maybe it'd be a back three. But personally, I don't think it's a blessing in disguise because I do think at times, and this showed against West Ham, where I thought we were just a little bit shaky in the last 5 minutes in the first half, and then for a while in the second half as well. And that's where you kind of missed that leadership role from Mings, just to say, look, shore this up, close it down. I know it's not going to be pretty, but let's just reset and do it again. If we have to hit it long for the sake of just to get ourselves reset, we do that. Konza and Torres, and no disrespect to them, they've been absolutely fantastic. Don't have that, just that little bit of vocabulary just to the players say, look, let's just shore this up. It's getting a bit shaky. So that's where I would say, no, I don't think this injury is a blessing in the disguise because it's just that small leadership role at times is where Mings is really needed on that football field.
Yeah. But it's a good question, Gary. It's one of them where you think, yes, he's had to kind of accelerate his sort of, as he said, adaptation to the Premier League. And we've almost got this partnership now, Konsa and Torres, which looks fantastic.
It looks set,
yeah. John Steele, Kamara is going under the radar. What a performance from him. He does the simple things so well. He's the perfect protection for our defense. Yeah, it seems like that shakiness at the start of the season seems to have gone out of him. Rub says, don't know if Bailey is happy about it, but the super sub role suits him well. He faces tired defenders and his speed becomes unbearable for them. Max,
just one thing
do you
on
agree
Bailey.
with that?
Sorry, Max, go on ahead. Sorry, Max.
No, you can go.
No, I was just about to say, did anyone notice how low his socks were?
Yeah, well, I mentioned that last night. Yeah, I said
I didn't get to watch it last
Bailey.
night. So
low socks.
Yeah,
his thigh muscles look like they're popping. So whether he's been on the weights, I don't know. But
he's releasing his inner Jack Grealish.
yeah.
Sorry,
but yeah, Max, do you think that super sub option could suit Leon Bailey?
I think it works at the moment. I mean, he's just loves Villa Park, that man. I mean, I think everyone loves Villa Park at the minute, but if anyone does, it's Douglas Luiz and it's Leon Bailey for whatever reason. But I think for what he brings, I think it is ideal to have him for that kind of game because I feel like if West, even though it was pretty comfortable at 3-1, I feel like if they'd snuck a goal in, it would have been a shaky last 10 minutes or so, whatever.
Yeah.
But then his goal was nasty. It was so good. It was Agurd's just absolutely been sent for one, and then it's even the finish is like just perfect as well. But yeah, I think at the minute it works. I think once Ramsey's back, and then Zaniolo is an option further forward, I think he might find more starts in terms of being able to play out wide. Because at the minute he's basically finding himself as Diaby's second man kind of thing. So, but I think when Ramsey's back, Zaniolo can push further forward, and then it's almost a straight shootout for one of the winger roles for Bailey then.
Yeah, well, it's great to have the competition, and I think, yeah, whether you get Zaniolo to kind of physically tire players out, and same with Diaby, or whether you go with Bailey for the pace at the start of the game, and then Zaniolo comes on to shore it up, you've got options. Rub says Mings would have helped Pau, so I'd say no in terms of the question on whether the Mings injury has benefited slightly. John said, love Emery's passion on the touchline, the way he throws his arms around even when he's sitting down. Rod says, Emery has raised my expectation level of what an Aston Villa manager / head coach should be. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Rich said, defence is looking solid. It really is. Gary said, would love it if Emery let a young English coach to work with him to maybe take over in the future. Well, you never know. Few people asking on the injuries, so we'll come to that in a second. Heralio says Emery is the boss. He can't work with big ego players. Hence, PSG was not a good fit. Yeah, and then what else have we got? CC said, I learn something new every week on tactics, formation, and I'm now not afraid to lose. If we do, I know we will dust off and we'll go again. Yeah. Rich said, Unai is the voodoo killer up the Villa. Rob says, the most impressive with Emery so far is how he transforms players individually. There isn't a single player that has not massively improved. And that newspaper article said sometimes he has four coaches working with different aspects of one individual player. So that shows the level of detail. So yeah, absolutely just crazy. Rachel said there, Bailey does look fitter and more confident. AVFC US is in the house. They all look better technically. First touch, dribble, passing, all improved. He says Cash still has the most awkward step over in football, though. CC says, I noticed something about Bailey. He just seemed to have a quiet swagger about him. A couple of times he resisted taking on players, kept possession, passed it to a Villa player, reset, and went again. That's exactly what I said last night. I said he was mixing it up. And it's exactly what you need. You need that. You need to get trust in your players so that when they know you're not going to give it away all the time, they know that they can pass you the ball, and then you're gonna make the right decision. And to your point from yesterday, Kev, Bailey averaging a goal every 71 minutes. Really good stats at the minute.
For those that don't know, I am firmly on the Leon Bailey train. So yeah, I am. I'm a man. I've had a religious conversion, and in Leon I trust. Craig Butler, if you're watching, I'm sorry. You were absolutely right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk. There's been a few questions on the injury front. So Sharik has asked, how long can we keep it up without Ramsey and Moreno? Moreno's injury is almost 6 months now. So word is that they're, 2 or 3 weeks away? So we may see them just before the international break, but I think most likely it'll be after the November international break.
Can I just ask a follow-on question to that as well?
What do you think?
Well, I mean, the thing is, Moreno's was a hamstring injury, wasn't it? So, what it is, what was it? Was it April, May time? So if you're looking at
it was May.
If you're looking at 6 months for a hamstring injury, is that something we should be a bit more concerned about? I.e., you look at the likes of someone like a Michael Owen, right? Got a hamstring injury, is never the same player again. If it's obviously clearly a bad hamstring tear, then will that affect his game? Because his game is about marauding down that left-hand side, absolute pace. Is that something we should be maybe be a bit concerned about how he's going to react to that? He's not the youngest player. He's like late 20s, isn't he?
But would this have something to do with his surgery, though? Because, remember he got surgery on his hamstring, and sometimes surgeries just don't go right. So could the surgery play a part in this?
I mean, hopefully.
Quite possibly. I mean, it could be. Yeah, Rachel said he's had to have surgery. It could be that's why he came back into the squad for a bit, and then they've took him back out again because they need to strengthen up that muscle more. But we've seen with a couple of players, like we've said, maybe it's the Bailey's trusting his body more. Maybe it's Carlos. It took a while to get into that kind of fitness where we can really trust the sprint. Max, what do you think? Do you think we can kind of cope with? I guess there'll be huge, people have been asking, do they come straight back in the team? Obviously we saw Ramsey against Brighton. He was just tremendous. So they're obviously going to add to the team, but do you think we can cope without them?
Well, I think we've shown we can cope without them. I think people just seem to players are just stepping up at the minute as if there's no issue. So I think at the minute it's not too pressing because the positions we have decent enough cover for. So Moreno's obviously Digne, and then if not Digne, then it's Torres can play there, and then obviously there's loads of attacking talent we've got at the minute for Ramsey. So, but I think if it's more of a matter if, let's say, I don't know, Cash gets injured, or as we said before, if Watkins gets injured, that's when it's going to be a real test. I think. But I just think that's what January's got to be for. I think we've just got to fill those positions where where if we do get an injury, then that's going to be where the problem come in. But the problem's always been as who do you get in that's going to come in and want to play as a backup? No one. So especially not for it's harder now than it would be if we were lower down the table, especially because people don't want to come in and play second fiddle to a really good settled team. Because at the minute, I don't think there's many players other than Bailey maybe that's got much chance of pushing the first team at the minute in terms of coming off the bench. Like Tielemans isn't going to be pushing Louise or Kamara, neither's then Donker and stuff like that. So I think it will be difficult, but I think at the minute we're showing we can cope with injuries. Just as I said, depends on those positions.
Yeah, agreed. A couple of comments. Dale says, wasn't a standard hamstring. It needed surgery, which takes longer to heal. He's fine in straight lines, just not when turning at speed. That's interesting. That's going to take a little while then. Aurelio Gomez says, when Owen did his hamstring, there was no surgery. He played with a muscle missing in his leg. Bloody hell. Rachel said, we need to bring them back slowly as they both had setbacks in recovery. Gary said, it's been a blessing that Dina has been great. Habs, great to have you on board, mate. December is stacked. We need full fitness for then. CC said, I heard 2 to 3 weeks for both. And we'll come to incoming in a second. What else have we got here? Rich says November and December is when the games come quick and a lot of them. And Gary said only drawback is no young lads coming through at the moment. And just Kellyman's been on the bench, hasn't it? Rory Wilson has been banging in a lot of goals. I think he's quite slight in terms of physicality. I've completely forgotten what I was going to ask you, Kev. Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess Ramsey and Moreno, though, Kev, I mean, when they do come back, it's going to be just... I mean, you talk about the options on our bench now. Our squad, our bench is just going to be absolutely stacked.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to fit them all in? This is the challenges, obviously, of obviously having a great squad. And you'd expect that more players would come in January. I think we're looking at trying to strengthen in some areas. I still wonder whether Dean might go in the summer, obviously linked with moves. Is another left back going to come in? Is there another forward player going to come in? If you bring in someone else to that squad, there's some obvious ones that you can see leaving, right? Some obvious ones. You've obviously got a situation where it seems like Den Donker hasn't really been fancied and getting much of a look in. You could see him maybe go in. You could see maybe a Chambers go in. Potentially he's been kept around for Europe at the moment. A trail
right. Long leg going back to Barcelona and doing another loan because he's not getting in.
Yeah, maybe that's the situation. But if you look at that bench yesterday, Diego Carlos, Tielemans, Traore, Chambers, Longley, Olsen, Bailey, Den Donker, Kellyman. Well, there's clearly upgrades on there, isn't there? There's probably a better midfielder you could have in terms of the defensive structure for Den Donker, someone a bit more mobile. Carlos and Chambers and Longley, you need 3 centre-halves on there. You probably want to have some sort of striker. If you all of a sudden bring in Mings, Moreno, Ramsey, Buendia back and that, maybe a couple of players in January, then you're going to have some pretty decent players not even getting in matchday squads, which is... that's unheard of for Aston Villa. Remember when our options off the bench? Absolutely got a lot of love for Trezeguet, but Trezeguet and El Ghazi, that was basically what we had. Bring on Al Mohammadi and see if we can get a few crosses in, and they were decent days for us. Obviously, getting promoted and some good memories, but it's just gone up a notch, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. CC says coming in Acuna perhaps. But Martin, where would you suggest that we need to potentially look at strengthening in January?
I would say a backup striker. I think, no disrespect to Duran, I know he's been really well, but at the same time, he's still very young. So I think we need someone in there probably with a little bit more experience, like Ollie Watkins. I think a left back a right back, because I think we only really have Matty Cash and we only make a makeshift for Konza if we play a different formation. So I think we do need a right back. I think that's one that we really do need. So for me, I would say a right back and a backup striker.
Right back and striker. A lot of comments about needing a second goalkeeper. Chris has said definitely need a better number 2 keeper. I think an upgrade on Kashi will be on the cards as well.
I think
Rod
Cashy's
says
fine. I
backup
wouldn't put an
keeper.
upgrade on Cashy. Maybe I'd probably have
No,
a
he's doing
backup to
well.
Cashy.
Yeah, a different type of player, definitely.
Mm.
Rich says we'll never question any decision Emery makes. He knows what he needs to make this team better. Rachel says right back for me, if it's the only business we do. Same for Kay as well, right back. I do think sometimes, Kev, that he has played Konza out on that right back, and it just doesn't look quite right, does it? When he's played out there.
And I think Cons is so good in the middle that you lose a bit with Mings not being in the team. I think if Mings was fit, then you probably could play Konza out right. I think it would be pretty solid. And it's obviously what Man City do, isn't it, in terms of playing the centre halves and you're putting them in the sort of wider defensive position. So yeah, it's not an ideal situation. I do think there's an upgrade on Cash. He's one of the players. If you're being super picky, I mean, I think Cash has been great this season, to be honest, but. Is there a player that you could get that could be a better class of player if he really got aspirations for Champions League? You could argue, look at some of our away games. We've had, I don't want to bring negativity at the moment, but, we've had bad defeats at St. James's Park and Anfield and looked totally overrunning those games and defence didn't do great. Now, anyone can have an off day, I get it, but I do say there have been opportunities there to bring in. And I think Emery will want to do it. Someone mentioned it in the comments earlier. I actually love watching Emery sometimes during the game. Like, be careful with Villa because you're likely to miss a goal if you look at Emery too much. But I just love how high his standards are. He's throwing his arms in the air and getting annoyed when a pass doesn't go. And if you've got that level of standard in any kind of organisation, you're going to get a better performance. As long as there's a lot of love that comes with it and support and obviously guidance and, all that kind of stuff. But it shows that, when he's calling out, for me, the best player in the world, Douglas Luiz, for his performance, then something's being said, don't you? And that behind the scenes, would have been giving Watkins grief for not getting the goals. So we're only going to go one way with that kind of manager with high standards. But he's proved himself, hasn't he? Bring the players that he's brought in so far. He has. Obviously, you need squad players, and I think Longlay's been okay when he's played. I just think
he'll probably play some part on Thursday, although. I mean, Gary mentioned it yesterday. We'll talk AZ out more in the preview in a couple of days' time. But there's a potential because they're second in the Eredivisie at the moment. There's a potential to play. He needs to play strongest team against them, and then rest a couple against Luton, which is what Gary suggested yesterday. So,
I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Guys, we've had nearly over 80 watching. We've had nearly 100 watching tonight, which is at 11 o'clock is amazing. So please do hit the like button if you haven't already. Last time I checked, we had something like when we had 60 odd watching, we only had 28 likes. So if we get up to over 50 tonight, that'd be brilliant. So please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you are new. We're marching to 2,600 on the road to 3K. So please do keep supporting the channel. Your support has been tremendous so far. So yeah, like and subscribe. That'd be fantastic. Let's just have a little look at the comments. Rub says right back goalkeeper replacement for Dendoncker, one offensive player, Buendia style. Interesting. We want a few players there. Gary said Duran is homesick, I think, and needs more time. I think a few people saying that about potential strange posts that he's been put in. So hope he's all right. Matt says we have 4 centre backs and Konsa can play there. And I think he mentioned that Man City play all their centre backs, so why can't we? They do actually. They do sometimes play right across. AVFC US says Olsen is fine. If Emmy goes down, it's all over anyway. Rachel said, I think we are waiting for Sinisalo or Marshall to come good for goalkeeper. Is one of them on loan at Exeter? Is that Sinisalo?
Sinisalo's good.
Sinisalo,
yeah. Gaz says, at the moment, I can't see any business in January. I could see that that player that CC mentioned, what's his name? Acuna. I could see him coming because I think we nearly did that in the summer. Really did. Steve 24/7 says we were linked to Soler, a PSG player previously at Valencia. On to Cash. Cash is great, but he sometimes has defensive issues, says CC. Edie says Cash has been great defensively lately. Still got Mitoma in his pocket. Yeah. Matt says he's making them better, so they will love him. 100%. AVFC US says, I think Cash is fine defensively. He's not great with the ball at his feet. Sometimes I like to see him go past I know he's a fullback, but yeah, he was a right midfielder as well. Sometimes I'd like to see him get to that byline a little bit more. Question from Elizabeth. Wow. If we had to sell a first team player to balance the books,
Oh,
who would
Jesus. Oh,
can we bring back who got out on loan?
It's gonna be Cash or Digne, surely.
Yeah. I think it might be Digne, and he's on high wages, and he's obviously in his 30s now, and you could probably get a better option in. So, yeah, not Louise. But I do think he's maybe the most likely one to benches to go.
Kamara for pure profit?
No.
Esri Konsa?
Watkins yesterday literally said Louise and Kamara are the two most important players in this team on a.
Yeah. Did you
today?
Yeah, he did. I saw that. I saw that interview. Did you see the? Obviously, a lot of love for Villa in the media at the moment, and TalkSport obviously a bit of a downgrade from us in terms of media quality, but I do quite like Simon Jordan's. I like the cut of his jib, and he made some points, didn't he, in the interview with Martin O'Neill about that Villa's net spend has only been not saying net spend, we've only spent 30 million a season, haven't we? Pretty much in the last 3 years, recouped, spent 200, but recouped not 90 million, whatever it's been. Basically, we've spent we've spent 30 million a season, and he said across 4 years it might be 50 million. But if you think about this league, and obviously that's one of the reasons why maybe they're trying to increase revenues. People don't obviously always understand the ins and outs of it, and does it make a massive difference? But we want this team to be doing what it's doing now, which is competing at the top tier of English football. But I don't feel like we spent loads of money, considering. I mean, look at some of the sales in the summer, 40 million quid pretty much for Aaron Ramsey, Philogene Badace, obviously
Cameron Archer.
Got a little bit for Keenan Davis. Before, obviously, we've had that summer where we sold Chukwuemeka, Grealish and Target, got 135 million for that. So I think we've been pretty sensible. We've cut things like, cut Bednarek's loan short, and done some things that have made a bit of sense. We've brought in a lot of players as well.
Coutinho's gone.
Coutinho's a great example of that. A lot of free transfer players. Yeah, then maybe it's going to be wages, but you look at the likes of Kamara. Obviously, it's been a great signing in terms of not cost us any money. So I'd like to think with FFP. I mean, again, I'm not a proper expert on it, but it feels like we're on the right side of it compared to what you see other clubs doing, and it would be good if we could kick on now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, you've also got the added thing with the next batch of young players. So you've got Eric Bonham, who's still at the club. He'd probably fetch some money, especially if he gets fully fit and gets back in the first team picture. You've got Kane Kessler-Hayden, you've got Finn Azaz, you've got Louis Barry. So you could probably fetch, I don't know, 20, 25 million for them 4 players.
Kessler-Hayden's gone off the board a bit, hasn't he? But
but what I'm saying is you could still get 5 or 6 million for him. He's playing in the Championship regularly, so yeah. It's. I think I was actually going to laugh to myself about that question for Elizabeth, because before the season started, we were saying because I think there was rumours about Martinez going, and we were like, actually, yeah, if a bid came in for 60, 70, 80 million for Emi Martinez, we'd sell him, because you could get another keeper for 25, 30 million who wouldn't be quite as good, but would still be a very good goalkeeper. So I don't know whether that would be the one that we might sell.
No, he's been so good this season.
We don't want to answer that question.
He's been great this season. He's been so good.
Rob said ideally would be a player who could play right back and left back. Martin in the house said Louise and Watkins both averaging a goal every 1.8 games in the Prem. And what else have we got? Rob said we should have a look at Sugawara during the next game. He plays at AZ. Interesting. Digne to Qatar, says Rob. Marine is painting his kitchen at this very moment, listening to the great content. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much.
Background noise ever.
Has he painted it marine blue?
Is he? Oh, he's got to be. He's got to be. Everyone's saying Tielemans. AVFC US says Tielemans. Gary says Tielemans. Edie says Cash. AVFC US says the broadcast in the US pre-game touted Louise as one of the top 3 midfielders in the league. The US coverage actually gives us more prestige than more praise than the UK coverage, to be honest.
They give a lot of teams good praise. In fairness, they're very well balanced in when they're talking about teams. It's not like here when it's like Big Six bias.
Yeah. Gaz says wage bill has gone up a lot. CC said she'd potentially go Dina, Cash, and Tielemans. Edie said we need to tie Louise down on a fatter contract. We cannot afford to let him go. He's still on low wages. But Rage said his wages would have gone up when he signed his new deal. 70k, Edie believes.
Have you noticed also how Louise's performance has gone up since him and Alicia have split up? Like,
yeah, interesting.
He's getting a bit more rest at night time, maybe. I don't know.
We don't want to cast any aspersions, Kevin. Maybe.
He scored like.
Maybe he's playing well because he wants to win her back.
Maybe so.
You know, like Jossie's Giants.
Yeah.
Do you remember that when you were a kid? You won't remember that, lads.
No.
Says the key is we need to increase the club's overall revenue. It's not just transfers. That's why they brought the US guy to lead the marketing and revenue side. Chris says Kessler Hayden has been very good for Plymouth this season. John says we need to get a better sponsor and kit manufacturer deal. Matt says never leave Emmy. And Gary said we don't want to be like Brighton, who sell every year and win nothing. Let's just win something, please. Lots of people agree with you about Simon Jordan being good about the Villa. I can see Villa speaking to Dougie about a new deal at some point. Traore, people saying to sell Traore. Paul Welford thinks Louise is worth 170 million. 170 million. That's an interesting number, isn't it? Dale said he's spending more time fishing now rather than the more tiring stuff.
He's
to do a lot of dancing, apparently. Just dancing.
Yeah. Just to kind of close out the show, and it seems like we're talking about Alicia Lehman, who is part of the Aston Villa women's squad. I'll come to you first, Kev. What is going on with the Aston Villa women at the moment?
Yeah, I put a tweet out over the weekend about this. I mean, they've not had an easy start, right? They've not had an easy start, but I think they've been ahead in every game, and they've basically lost every game. And look, you know, the pressure is going to be on in any league if you're not performing. It is disappointing. It feels like the new signings they've brought in haven't really had much of an impact. You know, there's banter everywhere, isn't there? Louise banter.
Green walls.
Good. But you've got to stop putting banter comments up when I'm trying to make a serious point about
Sorry.
Oh, Jesus.
Come on, we've lowered the tone here. We've lowered the tone, hasn't it?
Right. Okay. Come on. Serious. Yeah. So
Serious points.
Yeah, I agree. Some of the new signings just haven't settled in.
It's a real shame as well because last season they were absolutely riding high. They were like the best of the rest, weren't they, outside that top four? And it just feels like something's missing. I saw them play quite a few times last season. I've not caught them this season yet, but they were really good. They've got some good players. I don't know. It's just, I mean, I'd definitely give Carla Ward a bit more time, but it is a shame because you can see the pressure's on, and she's I mean, to concede goals obviously in injury time against Arsenal. We were 1-up against Spurs at weekend, and by all accounts, listening to like the Soccer Saturday, Villa started off really well the first 20-30 minutes. All of a sudden, it finishes 4-2. So yeah, it just seems to me, like I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I was expecting to, like, from last season finishing 5th and getting some really good results against Man City and one or two of the other bigger clubs in the WSL, that they would push on and really try and go toe to toe with some of the top teams. But it seems like that the games that they've had against played Arsenal and Man United, they've just gone back to this defensive style, and you go 1-0 up in those games, or you get back to 1-1, you go straight back to being defensive. You can't hold out for that long. It just doesn't work. And then all of a sudden, then you're against a
you're fighting against the tide. You're a bit low in confidence. So you're coming up against a Liverpool, or you're coming against a Tottenham that you think, right, this is a team that we should be beating, and then all of a sudden you don't beat them, and then you're under pressure. And I feel like Carla Ward is kind of making some decisions that you know that a manager's under pressure. Like she made like 6 or 7 changes on the weekend, and just like you're trying to, rather than looking at what you've got and picking your best team, you're trying to please people, or you're trying to find the best team rather than just like assessing the situation.
Yeah, and I think we've got to be thankful as well that Bristol City are so bad, because otherwise we would be rock bottom.
Yeah. Well, they did all right against Arsenal yesterday. They only lost 2-1 or something. But it's
we're on -6, they're on -10. So I mean, a couple of wins in this league, it'll only be 4 games. You go up it, and look, crazy things have happened, haven't they? I remember we started the Premier League season, the second season, and we were back in it with 4 wins in a row, didn't we? We thought we were going to win the league. I think we finished 11th in the end. So it can go one way or the other.
Exactly. CC, I'm very sorry. It was me selecting the comments. I'm very sorry. But yeah, what we got? Emery thing. Villa says seems like they've missed Kenzadali massively. I know Michael's a big fan of Kenzadali, and yes, it does seem like something's not right in the team at the moment. There's not enough pace in the team. Too many players giving the ball away. I think Rachel Daly's not getting enough of the ball. Like, it might be worth changing her into central midfield or something so she can get on the ball a bit more. Paul said the balance isn't right at the moment. That's absolutely true. Rachel said something isn't right with the ladies, but can't work out what it is. Well, I think part of it as well is Daly's such a good player, but she's not getting the ball, so she's coming deeper for the ball. And then we've got nobody up front. And then you can't work out who to play out wide. Like you said, Kev, the new signings just don't seem to be. I don't know. They just don't seem to be as good as promised. Whether it's a pre-season, whether it's just they've not had a pre-season, and then some of the older players, the likes of Jordan Nobbs, the likes of Lucy Staniforth, I don't know, is kind of Father Time catching up with them. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, who knows? I think it's probably still a bit early to say. It may be great till you got to 6, 8, 10 games. I think it's probably a little bit early to say, but it does feel a little bit like something's not quite right there. And I mean, look, the Spurs are not a bad team. Arsenal are clearly a great team, and they're one of the top teams. Liverpool have started the season pretty well, and obviously played Man United as well. So it's not been the easiest run of fixtures.
They've got Chelsea next, though.
Well, that doesn't get any easier, but you play the teams in 3rd and 4th, 6th and 7th. I think Arsenal a bit of a false position. I think they're a really, really good team. So you probably played. I mean, Liverpool obviously fairly new back to the league, but they could have had an easier run at the start of the season. But yeah, this is the thing in this league now. It doesn't get any easier with Chelsea coming up. It could be 5 defeats in a row, and let's see how patient the board will be. I mean, there was a theory, wasn't there? Like, I think you might have mentioned it. Like, have they maybe put a bit less into the women's team? But I don't know. It feels like as a project, Aston Villa, particularly in 2023, women's football's never been as big. It's been great to have it. From one perspective, obviously, just for the success of the team, but also from a sense of like the profile of the club. You've got a good performing women's team. You've got a good performing men's team. You've set up. You've got the whole shebang there, obviously, with everything, like with the ground redevelopment, and obviously you've got the situation with all of the other stuff going on around that in terms of what's going on maybe with the train station. It's just a good time to be around Project Aston Villa. So it'd be a shame if the women's team dropped off a little bit.
Yeah, I just hope they haven't had like some funding or whatever taken away or anything like that. I just, obviously it was Perslow's. I said this last week. It was Perslow's kind of like big thing to kind of get the women's game and women's team off the ground and really push it. And now we've kind of got a different board and a different kind of financial structure. It'd just be interesting to see. But yeah, Rod said, I think we can improve on Carla Ward. I think the pressure is on, but she'll probably be given. I don't think you can make any decisions after the Chelsea game because we're not going to win. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Guys, I'm going to call it a night there. There's one or two other questions. around the players, but I think we've covered most of it. I think it's just fantastic. Just to round off, it's just fantastic to see like so many players doing so well. Just Watkins. I know there's a question on Watkins getting better and better. Conte we've talked about, Louise we've talked about. So many players just getting better and better. And I go back to this kind of evolution under Unai Emery. So yeah, it's just fantastic to see. Lena said, great club, Aston Villa, and I love their fans. Watch Villa on tour and get the feeling like I am at Villa Park. Watch every match on TV. And that's just it. Like that's why we love doing these podcasts. That's why Maxon loves doing Villa on tour. All the other lads who do the podcast. It's just great just talking about Villa. And we've been through times. Kev, I know Max has just joined us this season. He's a glory Villa Park pod supporter. But we were doing it when we were like, the bad times under Gerrard, the ups and downs under Dean Smith. And now it's just like we just can't wait to talk about Villa, can you?
Mate, it was only maybe about a week ago when that picture popped up on online of me and you caught on TV by Sky Sports. I don't know if you've got it to pop it up now. I don't know if you've got it there.
No, I haven't got it. I haven't.
But for those that don't know, Sky Sports caught a picture away at Forest of me looking at Rich basically doing this, and Rich looking like thoroughly unimpressed. As we had a 1-1 draw against the newly promoted team, and I think that might have been the game before the dreaded Fulham game. Although Fulham game was magnificent at the end because he obviously got rid of Gerrard, but. To think how far we've come from there. And, that was a moment when we were riding high with Gerrard initially, thinking, we've had this upgrade on Dean Smith in terms of profile. And then we wonder where the club was going. Again, come back to this point. It's not even been a year. It's a year tomorrow, isn't it? We took Unai. Not even a year. He's taken over. And the transformation, has there ever been a bigger transformation in a club in a year? I mean, we have a stats earlier about all the managers that got 2 points a game, and it was like they're Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, they're those kind of clubs. But let's not forget where we've come from. We've come from a team that were, pushing relegation, and it's just been absolutely magnificent. So, Max, I know you're a glory hunting son of a gun, but we're delighted to have you here, mate. And enjoy it, mate.
Absolutely.
I can't say. I mean, I've been a Villa fan for however many years. I don't think I've ever been called a glory hunter before, so that's a new. That's a new.
Isn't that magnificent? Being called a glory hunter because Aston Villa are getting all the
it is exactly like just bask in the glory of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Max has been a Villa fan. Max, how old are you?
21.
21. I should be 21.
Exactly.
Me and Richard 21 squared. He's 21 squared plus one.
Nearly. Not yet. Not yet.
21 double. No, you're not yet. Not yet. So
not yet.
Come on, everyone.
November. Yeah.
I might take one a little fishing trip, mate. If you
me, you and Dougie. Yeah. But yeah, comments coming in. We're in a good place, says CC. Gary says, great show, lads. Tough game on Thursday, though. Hopefully no trouble. We'll be back with match previews. We've got talking tactics with Gareth back this week. We've got match reactions to AZ. So loads of content coming up. Lena said, you're all great and good front for Aston Villa. Brilliant. Happy days, says Rich. Trev says, mint lads, you're a great podcast. Take it easy. Thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. AVFC US, seriously, the improvement defies belief.
Is that in the podcast since Max came on, or is that in Villa?
What's that?
The improvement defies belief. Is it the podcast?
Oh, I think both. It's got to be both. It's got to be both. Since Max came on, yeah. Rich said, from night in today, Gerrard to Emery. Steve says our home form is now in the top 3 of all 5 top European leagues. CC says we are virtually the same players too. I love that pundits are waiting for our bubble to burst. Where's it? AVFC US says, sorry, Max, you've got a lot of years after the Emery era is over. Rich, 11 in a row. Yeah, I just still can't believe it. It's just brilliant. And yeah, AVFC US says both. Lads, thank you. What a show. Thank you for everyone watching. All your comments are just fantastic. You guys really do make the show. And Monday nights really is Villa Park Pod Fans Forum night. So keep spreading the word of the channel. Keep liking. Keep subscribing. As I said, we'll be back later on in the week for Talking Tactics with Gareth. Match preview for AZ Alkmaar. Match reaction to AZ Alkmaar. Match preview to Luton. Match reaction for Luton. So loads of content to come. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.